you do have to regulate your emotions. You do have to identify your triggers and learn how to deal with them and not let it bleed into reality. You do have to get off your emotional roller coaster.
Right. I'm willing to bet that the beginning of this relationship with the two of them, this was not a problem.
Right.
I'm willing to bet that he catered to all of that, trying to be the good person and be there when she needed him.
Be the shoulder to cry on.
And he gave it to her. And I'm sure that it worked. And it started to get real fucking old and exhausting. And now they're fighting over it because he doesn't want to deal with it anymore.
Right.
Because that's a bullshit mindset to be putting on somebody else's shoulders.
He's coming out of the love obsession and recognizing that this is a red flag.
Yep.
This is a red flag. You are not mentally healthy enough to be in a relationship with another person while understanding that you are both adults and you have your own lives. I'm just really tired feeling like I'm always the problem because of my emotions. Where do you draw the line between self-regulation and speaking to a partner about how something makes you feel?
You wait until you've processed that emotion and then you have a logic brain conversation.
Yes.
Having an argument or a fight is not going to resolve anything. It's going to elevate everything. You guys are going to have a huge fucking problem. Nothing's going to get resolved. When you have conflict with people, right? And like you get things resolved and the next day you kind of have like a touch-up conversation. Your resolution comes in that touch-up conversation where you are calm and you're able to apologize for what happened. I'm sorry that I did that. Moving forward, I'll do X, Y, Z, because they've had time to get past the emotional state, process what's happened, and grow from it. So if you have an emotional trigger and you are calm and you are not emotional when you have the discussion, it's not going to come across as an attack. You're not going to have a lot of conflict in the moment. You are going to be able to process through everything and be like, hey, I just want to let you know the other day when this happened, it made me feel X, Y, Z. I'm over it now. I've processed it. I know that's a thing for me. Moving forward, can you just try to be aware of when you say those things, it's going to make me feel like this.
Right.
It's not an attack. They're not getting defensive. You are literally just letting them know that this is a problem for me. Can you help me out? That's very different than blowing their fucking phone up and having emotional crying, screaming, freaking out fucking thing.
Right. He also doesn't have to fix your triggers. He doesn't have to talk you off the ledge of your trigger.
Right.
When you and I are in a moment of being triggered and we're going through it, we tell each other, I'm triggered, I need a minute. I don't push my problems onto you, making you fix me. If you are calling him and you're in the midst of being triggered and you're panicking and you're freaking out and you're expecting him to fix everything for you, that's not his job. His job is to be there and be understanding. If you're triggered, you just say, I'm triggered and I'm going through it.
Right.
And he can say, okay, babe, I got you. I'm here for you. But he can't fix your thought process.
Right.
You know, that night where you were in your BPD episode and you got shitty with me, you did this thing, you scoffed or you laughed or you did whatever you did. And my immediate reaction in my mind was to call you an asshole. And I didn't. I just walked away.
Right.
If I had reacted emotionally and called you an asshole, that would have been a whole thing.
You've told me that scoff thing. You've told me that it's a bother. Like it bothers you.
It's
when
a trigger
I do it.
for me. Yeah.
And I do that because I need to process what I'm about to say because that's my mute button. And I know that I do it because I didn't realize that I did it. I never noticed that I did that because it's like, okay.
Right.
I never noticed it. And then you called me in the moment and I was like, oh God, okay, so now I need to pay attention to this. And since then I've done it a couple of times. And I know, logic brain, it is me pausing for a moment because I'm about to really say some mean shit. That's my, okay, I need a minute. And I need to work on, instead of scoffing, go, okay, wait a second, I need a second. So that won't trigger you. But until you called me on that like 3 weeks ago, I didn't even realize it was a thing. Yeah. Like I never even knew that I was making that noise.
So in that moment where I was triggered, if I had responded emotionally, there would have been a massive blowout between us.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was already frustrated and so were you.
I could not imagine how you would have handled. I've never called you a name before.